Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another live here this morning. And say hello if you get a chance here, and we'll wait till a few people come on this morning. Make sure you can hear me and see me, and everything is good, and the sound is good. So, good morning to you, and Nativity, good morning from Orangeville. Nick is on with us, and good morning to you. Rosa, I believe from Montreal, and John from Elgin, Illinois. John, one day I'm going to Elgin, Illinois. I want to see that place. Margie and Brandy's on with us this morning. Charlotte is on with us, and Molly. Nice to have you on with us. Lorraine from BC. Hey, early in the morning there. And Troy, good morning. Dr. Troy from Newfoundland. Good to have you on. And Darlene, Karen from Muskoka, and Jerry from New Brunswick. So good morning to you guys. We're going to talk this morning, if you saw the little headline, Evelyn and Phyllis. I'm drinking my vitamin C this morning and enjoying it. Jeanette and Keith and Maria. Good to have you on. Always a thrill for me, okay? And I mean that. Cynthia and Julie from Bell River, and Joanne is with us, or Joan, and Mary, good. Okay, Carol. Every morning, when I go back over the list, I try and say hi to everybody after the show, and Donna, good morning to you, and Blanche Lecar from Shawinigan. Bonjour, Blanche. One of these days, I'm going to do a show in French for my Quebec friends, okay? So, anyways, good to have you on this morning. We're going to talk about restrictions to weight loss. And the reason somebody actually asked it, I don't know if they asked it this morning or yesterday, but there was an article that I read in the last couple of days that I flagged on weight loss. And I just wrote down some things that might hinder you from losing weight, okay? Now, let me just first off tell you about the reset. I know most of you have heard about it. A lot of you have done it. But the reset originally was to fix metabolic syndrome. That's why I created it. It started with my diabetic patients, and it's a 30-day program of eating eggs, meat, and cheese. It's not complicated, not easy, but it's not complicated, okay? So, and sometimes for women, almost never for men, sometimes for women, they find that they're not losing weight like they would like to. Okay, women are, I get it too. I mean, like I've said to you in the past, I mean, women are from another planet, or at least men are, okay? We're different. Because when a man decides to lose weight, and specifically, they cut their carbs down, men lose weight. If they have weight to lose, they lose it. The reset really wasn't made specifically for weight loss. It was made to fix metabolic syndrome. What is metabolic syndrome? Elevated insulin. Number one, it's insulin resistance. It creates inflammation, and some of the things that come from there are diabetes or pre-diabetic, fatty liver disease, high levels of uric acid, high inflammation, high blood pressure for many, and belly fat, and those are all symptoms of metabolic syndrome. And metabolic syndrome, 88% of the population have trouble with metabolic syndrome. And if you have metabolic syndrome, you are on the Titanic. If you have metabolic syndrome, you are on the Titanic. You are on your way to hitting the iceberg. And you need to change courses. And this is why the program originally was set up, was to fix that. And literally, in 30 days, you fix it. You fix metabolic syndrome in 30 days. Some people stay on the reset. Some people, like what I try and get people to do, is to stay into the low-carb lifestyle the rest of your life. Now, many things happen with the reset. One of them is it fixes metabolic syndrome because your insulin comes right down. It fixes insulin. If you fix insulin, you fix metabolic syndrome. And it does, you know, like I said, I'm writing my book right now, and I'm telling people what it does. In terms of, I think I'm up to 17 things that it fixes. And it's incredible. And all the testimonies we have. And, you know, it's been fun even writing the book. Okay? Now, why do some women, some men, but rarely ever a man, so I almost want to exclude them, you know, because it's such a rare exception. Why is it that women, even if they do lose weight, will lose less weight? Well, first of all, you're a woman. Everything in your body is trying to hold on to fat. That is what a woman, their hormones are made to hold on to fat. A woman is supposed to have more fat percentage than a man. It's a hormonal thing, so don't be too hard on yourself, right? And one thing I tell women, I never tell anybody completely throw away the scale, but don't live on the scale, okay? I just have to caution you, don't live on the scale. A man can live on the scale because he can take his weight every day, and in the reset, if they got weight to lose, they're going to lose weight 2 pounds on average a day. A day. Completely different because we don't have the hormones that, you know, our thyroid works completely different than a woman's thyroid. We have the same, I got a thyroid gland. See it? It's right here. I've got one, but it works differently. We don't have the connections that women have. And so let's talk about some of the hidden things that would minimize weight loss. Okay? And I just got to tell you, the number one thing is sleep. Sleep is in there, but it's not the number one thing. Number one thing is thyroid distress. Now, we spent a whole lot of teaching on the thyroid gland over the years, and even recently, I think last month, we talked about the thyroid gland. Thyroid distress syndrome. You know, in the office, we used to call it having a sluggish thyroid. A lot of women have a sluggish thyroid without having a diseased thyroid. Unfortunately, in medicine, especially when it comes to the thyroid, remember the thyroid test, really, the TSH test only came out in the 1970s. I was around when it came out. And before that, doctors didn't rely on testing for thyroid. They relied on symptoms. Okay? I think of my father. He used to say, if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's a duck. Talking to his patients about the thyroid gland. You got all the symptoms, I could hear him say, of thyroid disorder. And because the blood work was different before the 1970s and today, now you see, in a way, medicine has been hijacked by the laboratory, to some extent, because you're getting doctors, and not all of them, but I'm just saying it because it's true. You get a lot of doctors that if the thyroid testing comes back normal, the TSH is within that normal limits, well, your thyroid is all right. And yet you have symptoms, weight gain, losing hair, sluggish, all sorts of thyroid symptoms, and yet you're normal. Nah, that's not normal. So we call it subclinical or thyroid distress syndrome, because there's a lot of things that make your thyroid work properly, and if it's not at 100%, ladies, especially you're going to have trouble losing weight. The thyroid has to be optimized. I showed you, I take out a little teaspoon, small little teaspoon and then I put, I put a teaspoon of water and I show you, look, there's how much thyroid hormone your thyroid makes in 1 year, 1 teaspoon. Doesn't take much to throw your thyroid gland off. And then the thyroid never works independently. The thyroid is a puppet. The thyroid relies on a couple of other things that I want to talk to you about this morning in terms of what hinders your weight loss. The thyroid works on your cortisol, ladies. So if you have high levels of cortisol, it slows the thyroid down. So cortisol, stress, and who the heck isn't stressed in this day and age? Well, stress can affect me. But stress will affect a woman much differently than a man. Okay? Like I said, we come from different planets. My thyroid, the only time that thing doesn't work for a man, okay, is if he has a real disease of the thyroid. Hypothyroidism or hyperthyroidism or goiter, which is very rare in men. Hashimoto's, which is, usually, it can happen in children. Thyroid dysfunction. Well, if a man has trouble, the thyroid has a disease, but it's not a dysfunction like women. Women have a dysfunction, but it might be coming from something else. I'll give you another example. If you make too much estrogen, ladies, if you have estrogen dominance, as compared to your progesterone levels, they need to be balanced. If they're not balanced, your thyroid can be affected. You just look at food and gain weight. And that's why I always tell women, don't be too hard on yourself. You have a baby, ladies. You have a baby. You leave all your progesterone in the placenta. All of it. And after a baby, for a lot of women, and because estrogen is high and progesterone hasn't caught up, your ovaries are supposed to kick in that progesterone, but for a lot of women, it doesn't kick in. And what happens is they start gaining weight and they go, why am I gaining so much weight? Or they never really lost the weight after the baby. And the reason is it's hormonal. The thyroid is involved, but the thyroid is not primary. It's secondary to what the ovaries are doing. If you understand that connection, you understand what happens. And the thyroid distress is a big factor. A lot of times the thyroid only works properly with the right levels of iodine. The problem is when you have a crappy diet, you're not getting iodine. It's not in the soil like it used to be. Your thyroid doesn't work properly without iodine. And so these are all factors that make the thyroid slow down. Now let me give you another one because I mentioned it earlier, and that is sleep. You see what happens with sleep. Let's say you don't sleep. Your sleep is, you don't get that recuperative sleep. Well, what happens is that elevates your cortisol. You don't sleep, your cortisol goes up. Your cortisol goes up, you don't sleep. Or you might fall asleep and then you wake up in the middle of the night. That's cortisol. And cortisol slows your thyroid down. It makes the thyroid sluggish. So it can be a nutritional thing. If you're a carboholic, you're not getting the iodine that you need. If you're a carboholic, you are elevating your insulin. You are elevating your estrogen. And these disruptions and this imbalance in the hormones can make a woman very sluggish in terms of losing weight. So sleep, and what is it? We're at what? 70% of the population don't sleep properly, and the vast majority of those are women. Because of stress. I tell you, it's the number one thing that affects sleep is stress. And you might not even think you're stressed. And the only symptom you have of that, of high levels of cortisol, is you're not sleeping properly. And all I can tell you is, and try not, okay, please, ladies, please listen. Try not to get onto sleep medication. The problem with sleep medication is it doesn't put you into recuperative sleep to lose weight. It won't do it. It'll make it worse. You know why? Because what happens is that you're being sedated. It slows your metabolism down even more. And then we talked about this probably a few weeks ago, that it makes you much more susceptible to later on in life to have memory problems, Alzheimer's, dementia. That's the problem with sleeping pills. And what is it, 30%, or I can't remember, 30 or something percent of the population are on stinking sleeping pills. And instead of trying to fix the underlying problem. Oh, doc, if I don't take a sleeping pill, yeah, I know, but you're not sleeping. You're sedated. That's big. You ever gone under anesthetic? You ever had an operation that you were put under anesthetic? And you wake up and like, you know what I mean? Even for minor surgery. You ever had an anesthetic? Well, that's what a sleeping pill is. It puts you into la land, but that's not, you're not sleeping, you're sedated. There's a big difference. Anyway. And, there's a study, maybe I'll do this tomorrow, about sleep, okay, that came out in the last week. So, thyroid, stress, lack of sleep, these are all factors, okay? These are all factors. So, these things are really, really important. And the reset, guys, helps with that. It helps big time with that. Because the reset helps your metabolism. It's a metabolic change. Like I said, it's almost like, let me use the example. You know what bugs me is people that take their blood sugar 20 times a day. I hate that. I said, why are you doing that? Or people that take their blood pressure 20 times a day. Why are you doing that? You're just causing stress for nothing. Okay? And I'm not telling you never to take your blood sugar. I'm not saying that. And I'm not telling you never take your blood pressure, but quit overtaking it. Okay? Like, you know what? That's brought to you by the pharmaceutical companies. They want you to take your blood sugar so they can keep you on medication forever. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, sluggish thyroid, metabolic syndrome, all these things are factors in deficiencies in weight loss. One of the things that I do want to talk to you a little bit about this morning is a lack of nutrients in your diet. Look, if you starve yourself, okay, don't eat. Okay? Don't eat. And generally, you'll lose weight, unless you're a woman. Because sometimes women don't eat much chicken and salad, and they're still not losing weight. Then they go to the gym, and they hardly eat. Guys, you know me, so I'm just going to, Carla's watching this morning. I want to say happy birthday to her. My granddaughter. Birthday today, and so is Carla's. Okay, let me just say this. It's very, very important that when it comes to nutrients, you see, think of your cells for a minute, okay? At the cellular level, your body is unbelievable how it works. The more nutrient dense the food is, the more satisfied your cells are. Your cells are always looking for nutrition. Remember, they need energy. Inside your cells, heart cells, muscle cells, bone cells, eye cells, you name the cells, okay? Every cell in your body has a battery in there. Every cell in your body has a manufacturing plant. It's unbelievable. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. And all I'm saying is your cells are very smart. They're looking for energy to make the furnace go. They are a manufacturing plant inside the cell. You have a little mitochondria, which is a battery pack. And the battery pack only works on energy. And it releases ATP, which is a fuel for your body to survive. And you don't make ATP, you don't get energy without eating. Okay? And look, you know us guys at the Martin Clinic, we love intermittent fasting. It's so good for you. There was a new study out on intermittent fasting. I'll bring it to you this week. It's interesting. It goes along with what we're talking about. That's all right, intermittent fasting. But that doesn't mean no eating. It's intermittent fasting. It's like bringing your window, and this is very important, guys, for weight loss, is try not to eat all day long, because when you eat, you are secreting insulin. You need insulin. And insulin is a jail guard, and it will not allow fat to escape. As long as you have insulin in your blood. Look, let's say this morning you had a muffin. Okay? Well, let's say you had it at 8 o'clock. Well, at about 10 o'clock, you're still secreting insulin in your bloodstream. It's got a job to do. It had to take the sugars out of your bloodstream. It has to convert. It has to store. It's the traffic cop. right? Out of your bloodstream, and then sends it in to, you're either going to use it right away at the cellular level, has to open up your cells. Remember, for the little battery pack inside there called your mitochondria, and if you don't use it, it'll store your sugars as fat in your liver, or make fat cells, or put it into your muscles. That's why it's good if you exercise. I love exercise, especially weightlifting. The more muscle you have, the more space you have to store glycogen, which is stored fat from sugar. But all I'm saying is you want nutrient-dense food. Nutrient-dense food requires very little insulin, first of all. Insulin, folks, you need it, you can't live without it. But it's not your friend when it comes to weight loss. Insulin is not your friend when it comes to weight loss, because insulin's job is to store fat. It's the jail guard. It's not your friend. So intermittent fasting helps, but another thing that helps insulin is when you eat nutrient-dense foods. Guys, when you have vitamin S, a steak, there's nothing better. There's nothing better at the cellular level, because your cells see that as rocket fuel. And you burn that. It's a better fuel for your cells. So you're creating much better ATP than a chocolate bar, or a crappy piece of bread, or a muffin. Okay? So all I'm saying is, ladies, a lot of times when you're not eating enough nutrient-dense food, why do I always repeat myself? Eggs, meat, and cheese. Okay? Why? Why do I say it all the time? Dr. Martin, don't you know anything else? No, I don't. It's because they're so nutrient dense. They have everything. Everything. Everything's in an egg, guys. Nature's perfect food. Everything is in a steak. Nature's perfect food. Everything is in cheese. Not milk, cheese. Nature's perfect food. Okay? It's the perfect combination of protein and fat with no carbs. That's why it's so good for you. Your cells see that as fuel, and now they're satisfied, the cell, because you have created a fuel that is so powerful that the ATP coming out of the cell is rocket fuel. And it makes all the difference in the world when it comes, ladies, to weight loss. If you insist on weight loss. I think there was a testimony yesterday that somebody did the reset, and of course they're mad. The husband lost a lot of weight, and the woman says, "Well, I didn't lose that much weight." But when she put her jeans on, she realized that her body had changed shape. Well, you know what? Women, ladies, remember, your body wants to hold on. Men, when they get metabolically right, they get rid of things. Women your body wants to hold on to things, including fat. It loves that. But the reset changes your metabolism because your cells are now, they're getting exactly what they need. And that is so good for you. It does everything. It fixes your liver. It fixes your pancreas. It fixes your gut. It fixes your kidneys. It fixes your brain. It fixes all those things. And I get it, oh yeah, but doc, I might have fixed all those things, but I wanted to lose weight. I get it, but anyways, look, all I'm saying, guys, is look for hindrances. Ladies, if you're doing everything, make sure your thyroid. A lot of women have no idea that their thyroid, you know what? Women are very smart, by the way, right? Women are extremely smart. When it comes to health, 99% of women know more than their husbands. True or false? 99%. Men, hey, what do I know? Nothing. It's true, isn't it? Like, women are so much more interested. And men, remember, we're from another planet. Men ain't that smart. Women are very smart, okay? So, ladies, understand how your body works. It's so important. And you guys, when you sense, because I hear it 1,000 times a year, if not more than that, women who instinctively know their thyroid's not working properly. Well, guys, that's one organ that you need to almost do some self-diagnosing on. And don't be scared to self-diagnose, by the way. Right? I'm not telling you not to go to a doctor. But blood test, especially for the thyroid, is very, very unreliable. I'd rather you tell me how you feel and I'll figure that out by how you're feeling rather than a blood test when it comes to thyroid. Every time. So, ladies, if you sense that your thyroid is sluggish, look at your hair, look at your weight, look at your skin, look at your metabolism, look at your energy levels, okay? And your thyroid, you've got cold hands and cold feet or whatever. A lot of women their voice even changes because their thyroid's inflamed, but the thyroid numbers are still normal. You know what? You have to look at all that. You have to look at all that. So those are hindrances, okay? There's a few more. I didn't touch on them, but those are the hindrances you look for. And do some self-diagnosis. And the reason that we created the Martin Clinic Facebook group is so that you can interact with other people who are probably going through something very similar that you are. It's amazing. The discussions there between patients or people that follow us on Facebook, and they have that lively group. I love it because of the interaction that goes on there. Okay, so guys, thanks for watching today. Thursday, I think at 10 o'clock, unless I haven't heard differently, we'll probably do another live with Tony Jr. and Brandy and radio style format on Zoom. Okay, so we look forward to doing that. Friday ordinarily is question and answer, so we get question and answers live on Thursday, but even Friday morning we do it. I get the ones that we haven't talked about. And, any question you have, send it in to the group. If you haven't joined the Martin Clinic Facebook group, make sure you do. It's a private group just for interaction. And, we post articles and a lot of people have tremendous input there. Okay? So thank you very much, guys, for watching. Lord willing, see you tomorrow. Love you.